So this dating app called Bumble is going through a rebrand right now, where they have completely changed the concept of the app. Originally, a woman founded this app, and it was supposed to be revolutionary because it forced women to make the first move. They had to send the first message to a guy.
It's the most 21st century American thing I've ever heard of.
Yes, and it was actually massively successful for her, and she's made a huge amount of wealth off of it, but they have just gone back on that promise and rebranded so that women no longer have to send the first message.
There's a movie being made about her too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, that's likely. And people are arguing about this right now because this promo video they put out for the rebrand of the app is incredibly strange and disturbing. Basically, it shows a millennial woman travel to a Bumble convent where all of these nuns are wearing yellow habits and they keep her away from the men, and they have shirtless men doing their landscaping, and then they send her out into the world. A new woman.
We have to mute the music?
There is a song in it, so we, for copyright purposes, we'll keep it silent.
Music, but the visuals are enough.
Yeah.
You just, we live in a golden age for like nutty professor, like commercial designers to just come up with insane stuff.
I have no idea how this got off the ground as a concept, but...
We're still texting then, but I'm certainly not your
Says I'm swearing off dating and I've made a decision.
So here she is pulling up to the Bumble convent with her tinted sunglasses.
Okay, I'm sorry, but those sunglasses right there, if you ever watched any 90s movie with a hacker, they wore sunglasses just like that. I'm in the mainframe.
She's in the mainframe.
She's in the mainframe.
She's hacking Bumble. She's greeted by a group of yellow-clad nuns here. It's just so weird. She gets in the habit.
They're eating.
Yep. They're dancing.
What does this have to do with dating?
I don't know.
What the hell does this have to do with dating?
And then here they have this shirtless landscaper, and she's lusting after him.
Can't do that. You're in a convent.
Yes, the Mother Superior is suspicious of her. They give her the Bumble app.
What the hell?
She's like swiping on Bumble. We've changed so you don't have to.
Our business model failed, so you can.
Our business
just
model
like
failed.
every other dating app.
Because it was the girl boss dating app, right?
Yes.
It gave women what they said they wanted, and as so often happens, what women say they want is not exactly what they really want. So it didn't work out for them.
Do you want to kind of explain that to people? Like, so the idea was that women are sick of, the random men sliding into their DMs, sending them lascivious messages.
Send nudes.
The problem is it's all about filtering information, right? So they have to go and try to find the genuine messages that are spread out sparsely amongst a bunch of less than.
So it's like, we're going to put the control back in your hands, ladies. You message the guys that you want to date. But that's not what women want. They do want men to make the first move. After all, Billy Ray Brandt posted about this rebrand. She said they've gone from the app made by a woman wanting to empower and protect women by giving them more control to an app that is just like every other app. They're essentially admitting that women don't want any responsibility when it comes to early dating. They just want to be chased by men who take ownership and take the lead, even at the expense of potentially unwanted attention. In other words, the way it's always been.
It's the way the women love that part of it. They get to complain about the unwanted attention and get the positive attention that they actually desire.
Mm-hmm.
It's all validation regardless.
What are your thoughts on dating apps?
Trash.
Trash?
Yeah.
Trash? I wonder, have there been studies done on like the success rate? I mean, like all of these dating apps will tout the success rate of their platforms, right?
Well, don't listen to what the companies are telling you, because obviously Tinder or Bumble, they benefit from you staying single so that you continue using their company's offerings. But I've seen like increasing rates of married people report they met on a dating app, and that's inevitable because although marriage rates are declining, the way people meet, it's online. Like, it's going to be the majority.
There was no way that your phone was going to enter your pocket and give you access to the internet 24/7 and have other aspects of our social lives not change with it. That was always going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But interestingly, the CEO or the original CEO, the founder, Whitney Wolfe Herd. I looked into how she met her husband because I was like so curious if they met on a dating app. And it turns out she met her husband, Michael, on a skiing trip in Aspen in 2013, the year before she founded Bumble. And she was one of the co-founders of Tinder. She left Tinder to start her Girl Boss dating app and became almost just as successful. But were the women she sold it to as successful as her at finding a spouse? Probably not.
It's like the CEO of McDonald's saying, "I'd never let my kids eat McDonald's."
All the social media tech guys. Yeah.
They're like, "Are you kidding me? That thing's a weapon of mass destruction. My kid's not getting a cell phone."
But now that the dating apps are here, like, you know, what else are people supposed to do?
The thing that's interesting with all these new technologies, from our smartphones to social media to dating apps, any technology, is they simultaneously alter human behavior, but more so they reveal it. So I have a belief that we're essentially, when it comes to dating, mating, and relationships, we're actually moving back towards more how it was thousands of years ago.
How so?
So there's more open hypergamy now. The West is essentially moving increasingly into a state of soft polygyny.
Meaning that
if you are, well, firstly, if you're a man or a woman on these apps, your experience is going to be completely different, right? By 101 to 1,000 to 1 in some situations.
A man's complaints will never be the same as a woman's complaints.
And so essentially, when it comes to these apps, look, let's put it simply. Most men find most young-ish women attractive. Most women find most men unattractive. So when you create an app like this, particularly, it doesn't matter if it's Tinder, any of these things where what's the first thing you see, right? It's just physical, it's just photos. You don't know things about people's personality, their background, whatever it might be. You essentially create a situation where like the top 10, maybe 20, let's say top 10% of men, in terms of the qualities women are looking for, especially superficially, they just completely clean up, right? If you're a top dude, you can be on one of these apps and you can be just lining up women. You can have like a whole harem of women. And a lot of women are dating and sleeping with the same guys. So you've got a pool of men where like they're getting zero matches, right? There's nothing.
On the shirt.
Boy.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, they're getting zero matches. They're getting nothing, right? And then you've got like increasingly a very small percentage of dudes who are just dating a whole ton of women, which also makes them far less committal. Women are like, oh, why don't these guys want to commit? It's like, well, he's got like 10 other women chasing after him. So why would he, unless he's deeply religious or something, in which case he probably wouldn't be messing with this stuff to begin with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that we're, whether or not people realize it, monogamy is actually declining in the West. Not just marriage rates, monogamy itself is actually declining. And while open polygamy is not, in terms of marriage, is not legal here, but that's essentially how people, men and women, are organizing themselves.
They're not structuring themselves in relationships to begin with.
Yeah, because if you just have, when I say soft polygamy or like a soft harem, what I mean is it's not like official. Right? It's not, officially, hey, this man has like 5 wives. Yeah. It's just like, oh yeah, this guy's a stud, and yeah, he's dating like 8 women at once. Look at the, I don't even want to bring it up. Look at the Huberman thing.
Yeah.
Right? And like, does that surprise anyone? It's like, oh wow, look, a guy in his like mid 40s who's wealthy, famous, jacked, in great shape, has a huge audience, including a huge female audience. Oh my gosh, he's dating 5 women at once. It's like, yeah, obviously.
The ironic part of that story is the women knew.
Of course.
The women knew, and they caught
mind.
him, quote unquote, cheating multiple times, but overlooked it.
I didn't read the article.
And I was like, you're the clown for that.
Think about the podcaster, the female podcaster got married and spend all her time saying women should have a roster.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you see the chick who hosts Call Her Daddy podcast?
Alex Cooper.
Yeah, Alex Cooper.
I saw she got married.
Recently got married, and I posted about it saying like, okay, she won in the end, but all of these women that she influenced with her podcast, especially in its early years before she like cleaned up her act, they were sent the wrong message, and they're not going to be so fortunate in the end.
Do you know what? I don't want to be a pessimist here. I was just thinking about this the other week. It's interesting because you say that she won.
In the eyes of the world, she won.
Well,
Price party!
I have a.
Thank you.
Now, you're saying she didn't win?
What I'm saying is, look, I think increasingly our society is too focused on weddings instead of marriages.
Sure, she posts the
Like
glitzy photos.
is getting married really an achievement? Like having a wedding is not really an achievement.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a downer.
Let's see if it lasts.
I like going to weddings and whatever, right? Like this is but it's the beginning. It's like, okay, this is day one.
Yep.
Like
You gotta-
that's day zero of the marriage, right? It's like, okay, cool. If in 5, 10, no, let me not even say 5. Let me say 10, 20, 25, 30 years, then we'll see. Okay, cool. Was this a win? I don't know. I just think so many people think like, oh, this is the end point. Getting the ring is the end point. It's like, that's the beginning.
It's literally just
We got a
That's literally the
$20
start.
from Gordon Shumway. He said, I remember a woman I knew once complained about how she went to a bar and sat all night and not a single man approached her or bought her a drink. I told her, guys really don't do that anymore and you're in your late 40s. Well, that's some key information.
It's late 40s. It's not that guys don't do it. It's the late 40s part.
But yeah, you're right. Like, see if that marriage can stand the test of time. And also increasingly, women like Alex Cooper see a marriage as a starter marriage.
that's what I mean.
And that's it. There's no concept of it being a sacrament or the purpose of it being to produce a family. So for her, this could just be the first step in many different men that she marries.
Yeah,
down
that's what
the
I mean.
line.
That's why people are like, yeah, massive, this W. I'm like, guys, like there's no, like, this is not a hard achievement.
But regardless, even
But-
if her marriage does last
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like it's likely to, yes, that's a win in the eyes of this degenerate world we live in.
Yeah, that's
but
what I mean.
I was trying to point out to people, she has put other women in such a
The
bad
influence.
position, convincing them that this lifestyle of promiscuity and hedonism that she lived for a time in her 20s is what will lead you to that outcome.
Yeah.
Because all she did was prove that as an attractive, rich, famous woman, you have a great pick of potential husbands and potential starter husbands. She didn't really prove that there are no consequences to that lifestyle.
No, you can't. I don't know. I think one of my big predictors of this century, unless something like massively changes, is I do see the situation going back to how it was quite literally thousands of years ago, where you've got, okay, this guy's like a king. This guy's a boss mode. He's got how many wives and concubines did King Solomon have? What was it? 700 wives and like 1,000.
How
I
did
can't
you
remember
find
the
the
number.
time of day?
King David, like all the, in the Old Testament, all the big guys, like, they all had dozens and dozens and dozens of women. And the Western world is actually slowly moving back in that direction, back to like a winner takes all type of thing in the dating market. And this is only going to increase even more. Porn is playing a factor in this, of course.
Yep.
But when you're getting like AI and you're going to have robotics and all of these things coming down the pipeline, and you're going to get an increasing percentage of men who struggle to compete in that regard, just completely writing off women, writing off relationships. Women won't do the same with men in the same way, but you're just going to end up with, it's going to be very, very stacked. It already is. People just don't really talk about it very often.
The thing that I felt ruined it, like most of all in the dating apps, is like you mentioned the superficial qualities that end up filtering out a lot of the men for women. The dudes who lost out the most there are the dudes who are just average looking, but really good personalities,
For sure.
that were really, really good at charming someone in person. That doesn't translate online. Like nobody
Yeah.
loses out harder than that dude who in his 20s maybe didn't look as good as all the other dudes, but he had the Gen Z would call it Riz.
Yes, the
but
Riz.
we would call it that charisma that's impossible to fake. They lose out more
Yeah.
than
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Or they're just shorter. You've literally, there'll be women there who like,
Tell me about it.
yeah, it's I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. It's I don't think the future looks bright in that regard. I think marriage rates are going to keep on dropping, and commitment rates are going to keep on dropping. And
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.